Discover the hidden ocean secrets. An incredible bedtime journey to transform your sleep. Megan glanced at the turbulent sea from the window of the Sea Breeze diner, her thoughts drifting far from the dishes piled high in the sink. The ocean her passion. Her dream was alive today, crashing against rocks like her heart on restless nights. It was a constant battle with insomnia, the kind that left her drained by day and hopeful by night. All she wanted was to explore the mysteries of the deep, but those dreams often stood in stark contrast to her reality of helping her single mother, Linda, serve plates of comfort food to weary tourists. The flickering neon sign outside cast shadows on their lives, a symbol of both charm and struggle, as they fought to keep their diner afloat against the pull of financial collapse. "Hey Meg, keep it moving, sweetie," Linda called out from the front of the diner, her voice strained with exhaustion. It stung Megan to see her mother worn down, the wrinkles around her eyes deepening every day, reminding her they were in this together. And yet, the ties that bound them seemed to fray slowly, like a worn rope thrown overboard, just waiting to snap. Suddenly, the door swung open, and in walked Captain Gideon, the local legend. His weathered face bore the tales of 1,000 adventures, his twinkling eyes sparkling like the ocean under the sun. He approached Megan at the sink and spoke, his voice like waves rolling onto the beach. "Ah, lass, the ocean calls to you, doesn't it? It whispers secrets waiting to be uncovered." With each mesmerizing tale he spun about perilous voyages, mythical sea creatures, and the vibrant tapestry of life beneath the waves. Megan felt the weight of her weariness lift, even just a little. Then he handed her something, a beautifully iridescent seashell. "This," he said with a smirk, "holds the power of deeper sleep. Use it wisely." That night, Megan pressed the seashell to her heart, desperate for peace. And to her amazement, it worked. She slipped into a slumber that wrapped her in warmth. Underwater, the world transformed. Dolphins sang, turtles imparted wisdom, and mermaids wove stories of courage. Each morning, she awoke refreshed, her once dull grades rising as her ambition ignited like a lighthouse beacon. But a shift began to brew. Linda noticed Megan pulling away, lost in dreams while she battled the weight of their daily struggles. One evening, as the storm raged outside, Megan found herself faced with a choice: wallow in the beauty of her underwater world or face the reality of their shared hardships. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Megan gripped the seashell tighter, realizing it represented her dreams but also her escape. With thunder booming and the rain pelting the window, she could almost hear her mother's distant calls for help, echoing through the tempest. They needed each other now more than ever. Just as clarity washed over her like a cleansing tide, the door burst open with a crash wind and rain poured indoors. Megan's heart raced. In that moment of chaos, the bond between her and her mother trembled. Would she choose the seashell, the world of dreams, or the warmth of family, the heart of the sea breeze? The storm raged on outside, but within her chest, the most uncertain of tides began to swell. Would she drown in her dreams or swim back to her mother? Megan's heart thundered as she took a hesitant step into the chaos that had suddenly invaded their diner. The door still swung in the howling winds, rain drenching the wooden floor. Captain Gideon stumbled in behind her, his hat soaked, his expression a mix of concern and intrigue. "Megan," Linda's voice cut through the storm like a beacon, her hands trembling as she clutched a half-dried dishcloth. "Help me with—" The words turned to a muffled murmur as the intensity of the storm pressed in on all sides. Megan felt herself torn between two worlds. The seashell pulsed against her palm, a reminder of the depths she had begun to explore, but also of the responsibilities she could no longer ignore. "Let us get this door shut." Captain Gideon moved to help, his sturdy frame a protective wall against the swirling chaos outside. As they secured the door, Megan glanced back at her mother. Linda's face was etched with fatigue but also pride. Megan knew her mother had built this diner from the ground up, pouring every ounce of her strength into something that meant more than just food. It was a lifeline, a pulse of community, and Megan was its heart. "Meg, you all right?" Linda asked, wiping her hands on her apron, her brow furrowed with worry. Megan took a deep breath. "I'm okay, Mom. Just thinking. Thinking can be good, but let us take care of things first. The storm will pass." Linda nodded toward the kitchen, where the clattering of dishes beckoned. "We can't let a little rain scare us away from getting the dinner out. Remember, people rely on us." With determination, Megan nodded. She felt a flicker of that same ambition that had risen with each morning sun after her ocean dreams. As the storm howled outside, she had the sudden urge to dive deeper, not into the ocean's blue, but into her life. Perhaps both worlds could exist side by side. "Let us do it," Megan said, pushing her shoulders back. "I'll help you." Together, they moved in a rhythm, Linda tossing orders out and Megan gathering plates, the two moving fluidly through the diner's warmth, laughter bubbling over the noise of the storm. Captain Gideon watched from a distance. A knowing smile spread across his sun-kissed face, as if he understood the unspoken bond between mother and daughter, two forces working against the tides of life. But as the last order went out, the wind howled with a more ominous growl. It seemed the storm had more in store. Megan glanced back at Captain Gideon, who still stood by the door, his eyes focused on the dark horizon. "What do you see?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "The origins of every storm are hidden, lass," he replied, his voice serious now. "Sometimes you've got to face what's coming if you ever hope to glide through the waves." Megan swallowed hard. "Face what?" "Your dreams and your realities. They may not always make sense together, but they can lead to something beautiful." He looked straight into her eyes, the iridescent seashell still clutched between her fingers glowing faintly. Megan's heart raced again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was the realization that she was standing at a crossroads, where her dreams and responsibilities intertwined. She could sense it, something new was arising beneath the surface, something she could no longer ignore. With her mother beside her and the storm continuing to rage outside, what came next loomed over them all. Was it truly possible to weave her dreams into the fabric of their reality, or would the storm tear them apart? As thunder cracked overhead, the uncharted seas ahead beckoned her, daring her to choose. What awaited Megan in the depths of her dreams? Would she have enough courage to dive into the unknown, or would she stay on the shore? The storm's wind shrieked through the diner's cracks, rattling dishes like a runaway train, but the warmth inside felt like an unyielding embrace. As the last plate disappeared into the hands of a waiting customer, Megan's heartbeat began to settle, the rhythm calming in the face of chaos. "Great job, team." Linda beamed from behind the counter, wiping leftover flour from her hands. The steam from the kitchen enveloped them in a cozy cocoon, even as the downpour hammered on the roof. The diner felt alive in a way that spoke of resilience. Megan exchanged a glance with Captain Gideon, who remained at the door, his profile framed against the dim light. "Are you still thinking about diving into the unknown, lass?" he asked, his voice gentle now, almost like the lull between waves. She chewed on her lip, the seashell still nestled in her palm, its surface cool and smooth, a tangible reminder of her dreams. "What if the storm outside is just a reflection of what's brewing inside me?" With a soft chuckle, Gideon shook his head. "Dreams don't come easy, and storms can be messy, but they shape us, make the journey worthwhile." As the words settled in the air, Megan felt an unexpected surge of strength. Captured by the flickering light around them, she looked at her mother and felt all the love she'd poured into this place flow through her. "Mom," she said suddenly, "what if we could find a way to blend this diner with my love for the ocean? What if I could share those stories, the essence of the sea, right here?" Linda paused, her eyes widening. It was a spark of recognition, a moment where possibility thrummed just below the surface. "You mean like a theme night?" Stories of adventure by the ocean with special meals? Megan nodded eagerly. We could have decorations, ocean-inspired dishes. It would draw people in, create a community around our experiences. Gideon stepped closer, leaning on the counter. But be careful. Sometimes, dreams that shimmer bright can fade just as quickly if not nurtured. But this diner is yours too, Captain. Megan felt momentum building, her voice rising with each word. You know the sea better than anyone. Imagine doing this together. Megan's mind raced as she spoke, her thoughts intertwining like waves in a swell. How do we even start? Linda asked, a cautious excitement creasing her brow. Let us brainstorm now. We can sketch ideas while the storm brews outside. Megan suggested with determination. Suddenly, the diner's door burst open again with a loud bang, sending another chill through the room. A figure, drenched and breathless, staggered inside. It was Ben, the local fisherman and Megan's old friend. Megan, he shouted, urgency etching his features. The tide is changing, there's something in the water. Megan felt the pull of the ocean in his words, and her stomach knotted with both fear and exhilaration. The storm outside had taken on a new meaning, deepening the connection she felt with the sea. What do you mean? She pressed, her heart racing once more. There is something magical happening out there. Ben breathed, glancing at the rough weather outside. Something you have to see. You might want to dive in sooner than you think. As he spoke, the wind howled like a long-forgotten friend, and the seashell in Megan's hand pulsed again. She felt the undeniable call of both the diner, her home, and the ocean's sacred, mysterious, and full of promise. Could she really maintain both? Could this unity of her passions guide her through the storm? As Ben stood there, the weight of his words pressed on her. Megan took a slow breath, realizing she was on the brink of something immense, something that might redefine everything she knew. What new truths awaited Megan beyond the battered door, and would she be brave enough to embrace them? As thunder cracked once more, the answer loomed larger than the storm itself. Megan stared at Ben, her heart pounding. His urgency was palpable, like the electrifying energy in the air before the storm breaks. She looked at the diner around her, at the warm light and familiar faces, and then back at the door that led to the tempest outside. What do you mean, Ben? She asked, voice shaking just slightly. The seashell felt warmer in her palm, its smooth surface a reminder that some treasures lay hidden beneath the waves. The tide's shifting, Ben explained, brushing water from his brow. It's like nothing I've ever seen. There's light coming from the water, shimmering like stars. I've seen it before, but this time, it feels different. A collective stillness fell over the diner. Linda leaned in, curiosity and worry mingling on her face. Is it safe? She asked, glancing towards the stormy window. Ben nodded, confidence restored. I wouldn't be here if I thought it wasn't. But Megan, you have to witness it. Megan's pulse quickened. A flicker of doubt nagged at her. Could she leave her comfort behind? The diner, her love for it, was rooted deep within her. Yet, the ocean called out, promising something beyond what she knew. What if it's dangerous? She replied. What if the storm traps me? The storm doesn't trap you. It only prepares you. Gideon replied, his voice steady. Sometimes you must face the unknown to find your treasure. That resonated with her, a truth she could feel in the marrow of her bones. She glanced at her mother, who offered an encouraging nod. You always wanted to explore the world beyond this diner, Megan. It's time. Megan swallowed her fear and looked back at Ben. Okay, let us go. The diner felt like a forgotten world as they stepped outside, the wind tearing at their clothes like a frantic dance partner. Each step was a challenge, but she could see the ocean beyond, its waves illuminated by a strange light that beckoned her forward. Once they were on the dock, the storm raged like a wild beast. Ben pointed towards the water, and in that moment, a bolt of bright light flashed beneath the surface, cutting through the darkness. The water shimmered, alive with mystery and enchantment. Megan, look! Ben shouted, eyes wide, filled with excitement. The sight took her breath away. Fishes danced like firefly lanterns under the moonlight, creating a spectacle that both dazzled and terrified her. "Can you feel it?" Ben asked, his voice low and intense. "There's power in the water. It's like it's waiting for you." She peered into the waves, the water growing still for just a moment, as if offering an invitation. She felt the seashell pulse in her hand, urging her to dive deeper into the mystery before her. Beneath the surface lay promises of adventure and discovery. But what if the darkness hid dangers she couldn't foresee? Megan hesitated. Standing between the safety of the shore and the enchanting unknown felt like an ultimatum. "Do I really want this?" she whispered to herself, feeling the tide caress her feet. In that moment, the storm seemed to swell with an energy that matched her own. Gideon stepped close, the weight of his experience pressing on her shoulder. "You've got the heart for it, lass. Don't let fear drown your dreams." The wind howled again, swirling around her like a whirlwind of thoughts. The diner, the ocean, the stories she yearned to tell, they were all intertwined in this moment. What if she was meant for something greater? Megan looked back to where her mother would be waiting, then returned her gaze to the ocean. "Are you ready?" Ben asked, breaking her reverie. She took a deep breath. The air was charged with magic, the weight of possibility resting heavy on her shoulders. As she nodded to Ben, the seashell glowed brighter, illuminating the path ahead. But deep inside, she felt the pull of something more. As they stepped to the edge of the dock, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What awaited her in the depths of the water? Would the secrets of the ocean reveal themselves, or would they remain elusive, buried beneath the crashing waves? Her heart raced, ready to break free. The sound of crashing waves filled her ears like a symphony, each crash igniting something deep within her. Megan felt the cool spray on her face, mixing with the heat of her racing heart. As she stood there, the world around her felt as if it had melted away, leaving just the two of them, herself and the ocean. "Come on," Ben urged, taking her hand. They stepped closer to the edge of the dock, the boards creaking beneath them. The light in the water pulsed and danced, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Each flicker promised stories and secrets, begging her to listen. "What if I sink?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. The fear clung to her like seaweed, trying to pull her back. "You won't," Ben replied confidently. "Trust the water, Megan. It'll hold you." Taking in a shaky breath, she felt the seashell's warmth swell in her palm. It was a reminder, steadying her even as uncertainty threatened to overwhelm her. Then, without thinking too much, she stepped closer. The water lapped at her ankles, cool and inviting. It felt alive, swirling around her legs with a gentle caress, as if welcoming her home. "Megan," Linda called from the shore, her voice thick with concern. "You don't have to do this." For one heartbeat, doubt flickered in Megan's chest. She glanced back at her mother. Linda's worried eyes were a reflection of the familiar, the safety she'd known all her life. But then, she looked back to the ocean. The light beckoned, pulling her in like a siren's song. "I need to," Megan whispered, feeling a surge of determination. "I have to know." With that, she took another step forward, and the waves surged to match her. The water swallowed her up to her knees, and she felt the energy crackle around her like electricity. "It's beautiful," Ben shouted, his excitement infectious. As she stood there, enveloped in the shimmering waves, something shifted inside of her. The fear that had held her captive began to fade, replaced by a sense of freedom she had never known. "Now jump," Ben shouted, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Megan took a leap of faith. She plunged into the sea, the water closing over her head, enveloping her in coolness and light. For a brief moment she was weightless. The glow from the sea traveled through her, and she felt her fears dissipate in the warm embrace of the water. She opened her eyes, and in the depths, the world transformed into a kaleidoscope of color and possibility. Fishes darted around her, their bioluminescence painting the dark water with hues of green and blue. Shapes glimmered and twisted just beyond her reach, teasing her with their mystery. But then her joy was cut short by a sudden current. The water pulled her, swirling unpredictably. Panic gnawed at her, wrapping around her like a tight grip. Was this the storm Ben had warned her about? "Megan!" came Ben's frantic voice above the surface. With every ounce of strength, she kicked her legs, fighting against the sudden rush. Whatever lay beneath was still unknown. Would it swallow her whole or help her rise? In that moment, the truth hit her like a wave crashing against the rocks. The ocean was a reflection of her own life, a mix of danger and beauty, joy and fear. As she broke the surface, gasping for air, every ounce of doubt was washed away. The wonder and exhilaration of what she had just experienced buoyed her spirits. "What did you find?" Ben asked breathlessly, the intensity in his eyes driving her forward. "I don't know yet," she admitted, her voice trembling. "But I want to know more." As they treaded water, she felt the call of the depths once again, urging her to dive deeper and discover what lay beneath. But somewhere below, something darker stirred, a shadow lurking, waiting for the moment to pounce. As Megan took a deep breath and prepared to dive once more, an unsettling shiver ran down her spine. What could the depths reveal, and was she truly ready for what awaited her? Megan took a moment to catch her breath, the salty water cascading off her face like a curtain being pulled back on a new scene. The world above felt vibrant, but her heart still pulsated with the thrill of the unknown. Ben's silhouette bobbed nearby, his expression a mix of encouragement and concern. "Are you ready?" he called out, his voice edged with enthusiasm and worry. She nodded, determination sparking in her eyes. The fear from moments ago seemed more like an afterthought, now something that belonged to the girl who stood on the dock, unsure of herself. With a swift kick, Megan dove under the water again. The coolness swallowed her whole, and she felt herself embraced by the ocean's depths. This time, she focused on the rhythm of her breath. In, out, steadying that as she glided through the shimmering blue. The colors morphed into soft swirls, pulling her deeper. The shadows that had once seemed ominous now transformed into inviting specters, guiding her through this magical underwater world. Fish swam alongside her, darting in and out of the coral. She marveled at their elegance, the way they danced in harmony with one another. It's just like life, she thought, an intricate ballet of chaos and beauty. But the thrill of exploration was soon overshadowed as she caught sight of a flicker of movement in the deeper shadows. Something larger slipped past her, gliding effortlessly, an enormous form hidden among the vibrant coral. Megan's heart raced. What was that? She hesitated, but the pull of curiosity was too strong. Ben's voice echoed in her mind, urging her to trust the water, to trust herself. She swam closer, her pulse quickening as she approached the unknown. The figure began to materialize, a shape unlike anything she had ever seen. A creature, with scales glinting under the filtered light and eyes like bright moons. It was breathtaking and terrifying all at once. Just then, a strong current swept through the water, pulling her sideways. She juggled between fear and awe. The shadow darted to the side, and Megan instinctively followed, propelled by her desire to understand. "Megan!" Ben's voice reached her, buried behind the sea's roar. The warmth of his concern grounded her, reminding her that she wasn't alone. She pressed on, the creature weaving through the rocks, leading her on a chase filled with discovery. If she could just reach it, perhaps it could reveal the truths lying beneath her own fears. But just as quickly as it had come, the creature vanished, leaving a haunting silhouette in the corners of her mind. Megan felt the weight of uncertainty settle in once more. Was she lost? Panic threatened to rise again, but instead of surrendering to it, she concentrated on the ocean's rhythm, calming her racing heart. She remembered the warmth of the seashell, feeling its familiarity in her pocket. Through the haze of the moment, a sense of certainty began to form. Here in the uncharted waters, she was free to uncover her journey without worrying about the surface world. Releasing a deep breath, she turned to face the open water, now shimmering brightly as if inviting her forward. With a newfound bravery, she dove again, ready to explore deeper. Yet, lurking in the shadows, unseen but ever present, was that same dark shadow. As she swam, the lurking entity held its breath, waiting patiently for the right moment to reveal itself. What truth did it guard, and would Megan be prepared to face it when the time came? Megan took a deep breath, her lungs filling with cool, salty air. She plunged beneath the surface once more, the world above disappearing as the water enveloped her. The shadows played tricks, swirling in an underwater ball, tempting her to follow blindly. Yet she had learned enough to trust her instincts. A flicker caught her attention, a sparkle of scales darting through the coral. Was it the creature again? Heart pounding, she kicked harder, her body slicing through the water. Her determination surged. She was not just a spectator in this world. She was a participant. The underwater landscape opened up before her. Sunlight streamed through the surface, illuminating the coral gardens like a hidden paradise. She swam deeper, drawn by an inexplicable force that whispered secrets in the currents. Each stroke pushed her further into this enchanted realm. But then she saw it, the magnificent creature emerging from the shadows. It swam with an elegance that took her breath away. Its wide fins rippled like silk, while those captivating eyes locked onto hers. There was an understanding, a connection that transcended the boundaries of language. Megan felt a surge of courage. This was not just an animal, but a guide. "Megan, what are you doing?" Ben's voice filtered through the water, filled with a mix of worry and awe. She wanted to respond, to reassure him, but the mere act of speaking would shatter this fragile moment. Instead, she gestured for him to come closer. The creature remained still, observing them with a knowing gaze. As Ben neared, the creature glided between them, weaving around them effortlessly. Megan could see the mist from its breath dance in the water. Ben's eyes widened, reflecting the wonder she felt inside. This was more than a chase. It was a revelation. The creature turned suddenly, diving deeper, and without thinking, Megan followed. A thrilling rush of adrenaline propelled her as they descended into the depths, the light from above dimming as layers of blue surrounded them. All thoughts of fear faded with each passing moment, replaced by a sense of destiny. They reached a cave, framed by swaying seaweed that glistened like emeralds. The creature paused and beckoned, its eyes radiating a soft luminescence. It was as if it was inviting her into a sacred space. Megan exchanged a glance with Ben, who gave her a small nod of encouragement. Swallowing hard, she stepped into the opening. The darkness enveloped her, yet it didn't feel frightening, more like a warm embrace. The cave opened up into a grand chamber, walls adorned with shimmering shells and strange, glowing stones. "What is this place?" Ben whispered, now a mere apparition in the cool, blue light as they marveled at their surroundings. The creature hovered near a cluster of glowing stones. It seemed to communicate, urging them to understand. Shadows shifted against the cave walls, revealing ancient symbols that sparkled like stars. Megan's heart raced. These weren't just markings. They were stories long forgotten. That a sudden realization dawned on her. This was a place of history, forgotten truths waiting to be unveiled. The question bubbled up from the depths of her soul. What had happened here? And why had it chosen her to witness it? Just as she reached out to touch one of the symbols, the ground beneath them trembled. Ripples spread through the water like a rush of wind, unsettling the stillness of the cave. The creature shot forward, its form shifting in urgency. "Megan, we have to get out." Ben's words pulled her back into reality. She glanced at the creature, which was now watching them, its gaze intense. But before she could respond, a powerful surge propelled her backward, slamming her into Ben. They broke the surface, gasping for air, the weight of what they had just witnessed heavy on their minds. Megan's heart continued to race, both with fear and the thrill of discovery. What lay ahead? Would they venture back? The shadows still lurked beneath the waves, and she felt their pull stronger than ever in the depths of her heart. She knew this was only the beginning. How far would she go to uncover the secrets of the ocean and herself? Megan gasped, the salt water rushing out of her lungs as she surfaced, the world around her spinning with excitement and confusion. Ben clung to her side, equally breathless, his wide eyes mirroring the whirlpool of emotions churning inside her. "Did you see that?" he exclaimed, his voice a mix of shock and awe. "Yeah, I did," she replied, the weight of their experience starting to settle in. "It was incredible, but what just happened?" Ben looked back toward the cave, fear creeping into his expression. "I don't know, but it felt like we were meant to be there. There's something powerful about that creature." Megan nodded, her thoughts racing. They both sensed it, a connection that was far deeper than anything surface level. As they floated on the surface, the reality of their discovery buzzed in the air like static electricity. She couldn't shake off the creature's piercing gaze or the secrets whispered in the shadows. "Should we go back?" Ben asked, the uncertainty evident in his voice. Megan hesitated, glancing toward the cave entrance. She felt a pull, an itch to dive back into those mysterious depths. "I think we have to, but what if it's dangerous?" "It might be," she admitted, her thoughts swirling. "But what if it isn't? What if we learn something amazing?" A flicker of determination ignited within her. They had stumbled upon something extraordinarily rare. It wasn't just about the adventure anymore. It was about uncovering truths hidden beneath years of silence. "Okay," Ben sighed, knowing the spark ignited in Megan's spirit. "Let us do it, then." With a shared resolve, they took a moment to gather themselves before diving back underwater. The cool embrace felt comforting, like a gentle nudge propelling them toward their fate. They swam deeper, hearts pounding with every layer of blue they penetrated, the ominous clarity of the sea guiding them as they approached the cave. The shadows seemed to flicker with life, a tantalizing reminder of the secrets waiting inside. The creature hovered near the entrance, watching them with those deep, knowing eyes, as if assessing their determination. Once inside, the shimmering walls enveloped them, and the glowing stones pulsed gently like heartbeats. The ancient symbols glimmered as if waiting for them to decipher their meanings. "What do you think these symbols mean?" Ben whispered, tracing one with his fingers. "I don't know yet," Megan replied, feeling the energy of the room flood her senses. "But I feel like they hold a message, something we need to understand." She moved deeper into the cave, her curiosity leading her like a compass. The creature followed closely, guiding them toward an intricate design that dominated one wall, a spiraling pattern that seemed to tell a story of beginnings and endings. Suddenly, the room shook once more, and instead of fear, this time, she felt a rush of urgency. "We need to focus. It feels like it's trying to tell us something important." The creature swam up beside her, its eyes glowing brighter. In a moment of clarity, Megan realized it was not just a guide. It was a protector, watching over something monumental. But before she could give voice to her thoughts, the ground trembled harder, and the stone walls began to shift. Panic surged through Megan as the cave felt like it was alive, responding to every beat of her heart. "Ben, we can't stay here." They started swimming back toward the entrance, but it wasn't just urgency that fueled them. It was the need to uncover the mystery and the fear of losing whatever knowledge they had just brushed against. As they broke through the surface once more, the late afternoon sun illuminated their faces, casting a light that felt foreign after the darkness of the cave. Both breathed heavily, and yet neither could shake the thrill of the adventure they had pursued. "Do you think we'll find out what it all meant?" Ben asked, his brow furrowed in thought. "I hope so," Megan answered, her mind racing with possibilities. It might have been a fleeting moment, but urgency crackled between them, knowing they couldn't let this opportunity slip away. "What if there's more to uncover?" she whispered, glancing back at the deep blue waters that held infinite secrets. "That's what scares me," Ben confessed, shivering slightly. Megan grabbed his hand, an unspoken agreement passing between them. They weren't just exploring the ocean but their own courage and curiosity. The whispers of the cave still lingered, waiting for them to return. And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden hues on the horizon, Megan wondered the real journey was only just beginning. Would they be brave enough to dive back into the unknown? The ocean beckoned, and she could feel its call pulling them into the depths of a deeper mystery. Megan and Ben stood on the rocky shore, water lapping at their feet, the fading sunlight painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Their hearts raced, fueled by the echo of the cave's secrets and the mysterious creature whose eyes lingered in their memories. "Did you feel the energy in there? It was almost alive," Ben said, shaking his head as if to dislodge the weight of the experience. "Definitely," Megan replied, her voice filled with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We can't just walk away from this. We need to go back." Ben hesitated, scanning the horizon. What if it really is dangerous? That tremor felt like a warning. Megan gripped his hand tighter. Or maybe it was calling us to understand, to figure out what it wants us to learn. He looked back at the ocean, the dark water glistening under the dusk's last rays, and then back at her. What if we're not ready for what we might find? "Maybe we won't ever be ready," she replied, her voice firm yet gentle. "But what if we miss something amazing? We're already part of this story." Ben took a deep breath, the salty air filling his lungs. He wasn't just afraid of the creature or the cave. It was the unknown, the endless possibilities that left him both exhilarated and terrified. "Okay," he finally said, summoning a small smile. "But let us plan it out. We need to be prepared." Megan's spirit soared at his words. "Yes, we'll find a way to decipher those symbols, maybe even track down some research about what they could mean." They spent the next few days poring over books and online articles, fascinated by legends of ancient sea creatures, lost civilizations, and the connections humans have always had with the ocean. Each piece of information seemed to weave into their own adventure, each fact sparking ideas of what lay ahead. The night before their return to the cave, Megan lay in her bed, dreams flickering between wonder and worry. She pictured the creature's glimmering scales reflecting her own fear and excitement. Would it be waiting for them? What would happen if they got too close again? Morning light filtered through her window, and she dressed with a sense of purpose. She and Ben were going into the depths, armed not just with knowledge, but with their determination to uncover something extraordinary. At the shore, the ocean appeared different today. The waves crashed with a sense of urgency, as if urging them to dive in. Megan felt the familiar pull, a surge of connection thrumming through her veins as she exchanged a glance with Ben. "This is it," she said, adrenaline rushing through her. "No backing out now." As they swam under the surface, the water embraced them like a guardian, guiding them toward the cave's entrance. Each stroke was propelled by anticipation, their hearts beating in sync with the rhythmic pulse of the ocean. Once inside, the cave's shimmering walls greeted them warmly. The symbols glowed brightly as if alive, the story they held still waiting to be told. The creature emerged from the shadows, anticipation simmering in its luminous eyes. "Okay, let us pay attention," Megan whispered, her voice barely audible over the gentle sound of bubbling water. The creature circled them, and for a brief moment, hope flickered in their chests. Just as Megan was about to reach out, the ground shook again, more violently than before. "Ben!" she shouted, grabbing his arm. As the walls trembled, she felt the pulse of fear and urgency knotting in her stomach. Was this another warning? "We need to understand." With courage surging through her, she stepped forward as the creature swirled around them, its eyes seeming to deepen in intensity. And then, just like that, everything went dark. What secrets were hidden in the inky blackness? Would the creature hold the key? Or was it leading them to something more perilous? As terror clawed at their hearts, the spark of discovery ignited the adventure ahead. Would they find courage in the face of the unknown? The darkness enveloped them, a heavy shroud that felt both suffocating and electric. Megan's heart hammered against her ribs, echoes of Ben's anxiety freezing the moment. But the creature, glowing softly in the inky blackness, remained close, its presence a comforting lantern in the void. "Where are we?" Ben whispered, his voice barely piercing the silence. "Stay close to me," Megan replied, feeling a flicker of determination rise within her. "We need to follow the light." As they took cautious steps toward the luminous figure, the darkness around them began to stir, revealing curved walls decorated with phosphorescent symbols, ancient tales etched in shimmering stone. Megan felt an undeniable connection, as if these symbols were whispering secrets she was destined to uncover. Suddenly, a tremor shook the ground beneath them, and the creature surged forward, breaking through the darkness. Its brilliance illuminated the entire cave, revealing a grand hall adorned with soaring arches and mesmerizing sea sculptures. Each gleaming surface reflected their emotions, creating a kaleidoscope of fear and fascination. "Look," Ben exclaimed, pointing to a massive mural depicting a harmonious dance of sea creatures and humans, a portrayal of the unity between their worlds. Realization crashed over Megan like a wave. The ocean held a story of connection, a reminder that she could weave her dreams into the fabric of reality. "Megan," the creature's voice echoed, surprisingly human-like, yet laced with the melodies of the ocean. "You are here to understand, to embrace these connections." Her heart raced, a mix of excitement and disbelief. I want to learn," she whispered, her voice trembling with conviction. "Every storm teaches us lessons," it continued, its eyes glimmering with profound wisdom. "But it is your journey to embrace the tides of change." Megan shared a quick glance with Ben, who nodded with renewed courage. They both understood they weren't just here to witness. They were integral to this tale. Just then, the thrum of whispered secrets filled the air, and the symbols began to glow brighter, projecting visions of history unfolding. There were fishermen casting their nets, families gathering for meals drawn from the ocean's bounty. In those moments, Megan felt her heart swell with purpose, an emotional tide crashing within her. "This is what I want," she yelled, laughter mixed with tears. "To bring this connection to our diner, to share these stories with our community." The creature swirled with joy, creating ripples that illuminated the cave's entirety. "You are the keeper of these stories, Les. Trust in your strength, for both the sea and your family await." Suddenly, another tremor set the cave vibrating again, the energy shifting like the currents. "We have to go. It's warning us," Ben shouted, urgency threading through his voice. Together, they sprinted toward the exit, the creature guiding them with its brilliance. But Megan's mind was ablaze with the truth she had just discovered. The ocean's rhythm pulsed through her, igniting her purpose as they raced through the opening. Light spilled into their eyes from the surface, and they broke free from the confines of the cave, gasping for air. The sun greeted them warmly, a vibrant reminder of life waiting beyond. "Megan," Linda's voice called from the shore, worry etched on her face. "You're okay." Megan and Ben reached the land, breathless but alive with possibility. The ocean sparkled behind them, and she turned to Ben, exhilaration coursing through her veins. "We can do it, Ben. We can transform the sea breeze into a hub of stories and connection." He grinned, the excitement brightening his eyes. "Let us start planning." As they embraced the promise of their dreams, the sea surged gently against the shore, whispering secrets of tomorrow's tides. This was just the beginning. Megan felt a heartbeat sync with the ocean. Together, they would create a bridge between their worlds, bringing the pulse of the ocean into their lives and the diner, reminding everyone who crossed the threshold that dreams could thrive in harmony with reality. "Ready?" Ben asked, excitement sparking between them. "Always," Megan replied, ready to forge ahead, the seashell nestled safely in her pocket, a talisman of hope and uncharted adventures to come. They walked back to the sea breeze, hand in hand, carrying the magic of the ocean with them, ready to share its secrets and live their story. The wind shifted, the call of the ocean lingering in the air. Now it was time to embrace both their dreams and responsibilities, and together, they would navigate the waters ahead, paddling into the rising sun. The storm had passed, and in its wake, there was nothing but calm, a clear horizon glimmering with the promise of infinite possibilities. Just as the final waves folded back, it was time for you to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and bring more fantastic tales to life. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation now. You need to support the channel because this is the moment to show your love. Don't wait not even one more second.